Hello, welcome to another video of Code Snippet. So in this video, we are going to go through one of the important topic in Spring Boot roadmap, Maven. So basically Maven is more underrated topic. So people will generally think that it's just downloading dependencies and doing build for us, but that's not it. There is many more things that Maven is doing. So in this video, we are going to see that Maven aspect. So this is going to be a fun video. So sit back, relax and enjoy the show. So let's first go through the roadmap. So this is basically the Spring Boot roadmap that we are going through. And I have created this video to go through this roadmap, right? And in this roadmap, one of the important topic is build tools, right? So in this video, we are going to go through this Maven, right? Which is one of the build tool. So let's get started. So here is the agenda. So basically Maven, right? So first we will see what exactly is Maven, right? How it will help us in order to do the web development or backend development inside your Spring Boot application. After that, we will see Maven project structure, right? How project structure looks like in Maven and how pom.xml file will look, right? After that, we will have pom file understanding. We'll go through the each part of pom file and what exactly each tag inside that pom.xml looks like and what is the use of it that we are going to go through. After that, we will see Maven build lifecycle, right? So how Maven builds the project, what is the lifecycle it will go through in order to build your project and create jar or war files, right? So this is basically the agenda. So let's get started with what is Maven. So if I ask this question randomly to any developer, they will say that, okay, it's a build tool, right? It will build the project for us. But that's not it. It's not just a build tool. Rather, it's a project management tool, right? Which will help developers to generate builds, right? So build generation is one of the functionality that Maven will provide you, right? It's not the only functionality that Maven will provide, right? After that, Maven will resolve dependencies for you. You just need to tell Maven that, okay, dude, I want this dependency. It will download and put it inside your project, right? After that, there are many things, for example, documentation that Maven will take care, right? So basically that is Maven for us. It is kind of a project management tool, right? In Maven, we just need to tell what I want. How I want, Maven will take care of it, right? So just what dependency you want, how you want to build it, that only you need to tell to Maven. Other things it will take care on its own, right? So we will dig down deeper into it in next few minutes, right? After that, Maven uses POM to achieve this, right? For build generation, dependency resolution, Maven uses POM, which is project object model, to achieve this, right? So when we hit any Maven command, right? Let's say Maven clean or let's say Maven install, right? So any command, if we hit, it will first check where is the POM, right? It will try to find for the POM file in the current directory where we are hitting this command and get all the configuration that is needed to, execute this query or execute this command, right? So let's see how POM file looks like. So here I have this project. Okay, so this is Maven demo. So how I downloaded this particular project. So you can just go to start.spring.io, which is Spring initializer, right? You can select Maven over here. You can select the language you want. You can select Spring Boot version. You can select all this metadata naming convention. We will see what exactly is this in a few minutes. After that, what packaging you want, right? What Java version you want, you can select. And after that, from here, you can add the dependencies. For example, let's say Spring Web application I want to create. So I'll add that. And you can just generate and it will just download a zip file for you. So this Maven demo is something which I have downloaded already and I have imported that into IntelliJ. So this is basically the project, right? And if you see in the project directory, we have this pom.xml and this is how it looks like, right? So let's first go through the project structure that we have downloaded over here, right? So first we will have a Maven demo, right? So here, if you see, we have this Maven demo, right? Which is kind of a name of your application, right? And inside that you will have pom.xml, which we see. This one is our pom.xml, right? Which I have just opened. After that, you will have some kind of source folder, right? So if I open this, you have source folder. Inside that you have main.java.com. So if I open this main, you will have main.java.com, right? After that, after com, you will have a name of the company. Okay, so this is basically the standard practice that they follow. So basically here after the com, I have a name of the company. Here I'm giving code snippet, right? After that, we will have app name, right? So here in this case, we have app name as Maven demo. Let me modify it over here. So this is basically the app name. And after that, inside this directory, we will have our application file. So this is basically the application file. If we run the application from here, your application will be deployed on Tomcat server, right? Now this is how the project structure will look. After that, what we have inside source, we had main, right? Inside source we have one more directory called as test. So here if you see, you also have test, and you will have same package over here as well, where you will have your test files, right? So this is how your project structure will look, right? Here also I'll need to rename it to Maven demo, as our application name is Maven demo in this case, right? And let's come back to pom.xml now, right? Now here we have seen what is Maven and Maven project structure. We have also seen like this particular project structure, and this is the diagram we have gone through, right? Now after that, let's try to understand the pom file, right? So let's go through this pom file. So here when we download this project, we will have this pom file already over here, right, in this project directory. This is basically the XML file which will be in XML format, right? Now from top to bottom, we will go through each component of this pom file, right? So first what we have this XML. So basically this tag specifies a XML schema to make sure that pom adheres to XML structure, right? Because all these are, XML tags, right? No one can go over and add anything random over here. Let's say if I add something over here, then this rendering of this file should fail. In order to do that, they have added this XML schema over here, right? After that, we have a model version, and after that, the important thing over here is parent, right? So what exactly is parent? It is used to define the parent project. So this particular pom we are seeing over here is child of this particular parent that we have specified over here, right? And what is this? So this is basically Spring Boot starter parent, right? So there will be another pom, Spring Boot starter parent, which will be parent of this particular pom, and this particular child pom that we are seeing here, the one inside Maven demo, will inherit all the configuration from this Spring Framework starter parent, right? So whatever, so let's say they have X amount of configuration in that one, so all the configuration will be inherited over here as well, right? So basically here, let's say this is Spring starter, which will have its own pom, which is kind of a parent for our pom.xml, which is inside our application, and this will pull all the configuration from this parent, right? So basically this will inherit all the configuration which is present inside this parent, right? So here if you see, this is very small pom, right? But still it's the entire Spring Boot application which is running based on this, right? So all the configuration which is required for this application will be embedded inside this starter parent, right? And we don't see it here. We just add a parent tag and it will inherit it automatically, right? So that is the beauty of it. That is the beauty of Spring Boot. Basically it will take care of most of the things in parent pom only, and here it will just inherit, and we don't see much here. Basically whatever other dependencies we need, that only we need to add it over here. That also we will see how to add, right? One more point to highlight over here is, let's say if parent is not specified, let's say we are not specifying this parent over here, then what will happen, right? But there is one default parent of all these pom files, same as in Java we have object class which is parent of your any Java class, right? In same way here we will have a super pom which will be parent of all the poms, right? Even if you don't give it here, there will be a parent pom which they will call as super pom, right? So if I go back over here, so here even if we don't give this one, we will have something called as super pom, which will be by default parent of all these poms, right, that we create over here, and that will have some kind of default configuration that Maven has provided, right? So if you want to see it over here, so let me pull this in. So basically this is Apache Maven project, right? And here if you see, it's a super pom. So this one is basically the super pom, right? And it will have few other things, for example repository from where it is going to pull the dependencies, and all the required configurations that it needs will be here, right? So this is basically the super pom, which will be parent pom of all the pom files inside your Maven project, right? So that is that. So that's about our parent, right? After that, let's see what we have next. So next we have is this unique project identification, right? So these tags that you see over here are kind of a unique identifiers of your project, right? Here we will have group ID, here we will have an artifact, right? After that we have the version of your this project, right? After that you have name of your application and some kind of description also you can add, right? So this chunk of code over here is kind of a unique identification of your project, right? All these things you can give according to your requirement and according to your project details, right? After that, next point over here is properties, right? So these are basically configuration properties that we have over here. So this is basically key value pair configuration. So So in property tag, we will have something like this. So this is basically key and this is basically the value of your configuration, right? So what is the use of this configuration? So let's say this 17 value I'm using at 10 places in my application. So instead of putting it at 10 places, what I will do, I'll just have this configuration, right? So java.version I will put instead of putting 17, right? So what will happen, let's say I want to upgrade this version to, let's say 21, then it will be reflected at everywhere. I don't need to go everywhere and put that, right? And how we can give that configuration? For example, let's say we have version over here. So here in the version, in curly braces, you can just add this java dot what is it, version, right? And it will populate the same value over here, but it's not needed here. I'm just giving example, so let's remove it, right? So that is how you can use these properties over here, right? So that is the use of these properties, right? So any variable that you need to create inside your POM file, you can create over here like this, right? After that, what we have dependencies. So this is again an important topic. So main things over here is coming into picture now. All the dependencies you need inside your project, you can give it in dependencies tag, right? So here you have first dependency, second dependency. Here I'm giving Spring Data JPA, right? Java Persistence API dependency you want. After that, as we have selected, right, Spring Boot Starter Web we have selected, so that particular dependency is also added over here. After that, Lombok I have selected, so that particular dependency again is added. After that, test is added over here by default, right? So these are basically the dependencies that your project needs, which will be downloaded when you build your project, right? After that, we have build. So here actual game begins. So here actual build starts from here. Now what actually will happen inside this build? So in order to understand that, we need to first understand the life cycle of your Maven, right? So here what we will do, we'll go back and we will check out Maven build lifecycle, right? So let me pull this in. So here we have this lifecycle. So this is basically the potential lifecycle of your Maven build. These are all the steps that a build will go through. Now we are going to understand this lifecycle first, and then we will jump back to this build, right? So in order to understand this part, let's first understand this lifecycle, right? So this is basically Maven lifecycle over here, and all these are phases inside your Maven lifecycle, right? So let's say this is phase 1 over here, then we have phase 2, right? Then phase 3, phase 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 7 phases. So let's say first phase is your validate project structure, right? So I'm just going through the sequence for now, right? We will go through each step in detail. So first phase, we have validate project structure. After that, we have compile source code. After that, we have test the code. So basically the JUnit test and everything that we run, right? After that, we have package, right? So phase 4 package, right? After that, we have here phase 5, which is verify the package integrity. After that, we have install packages, right, into local. After that, last stage is deploy the package, right? So basically for each phase, you will have one Maven command, right? Maven validate, right? So if I show you over here, so we have Maven validate. Second phase, we have Maven compile. Third phase command is Maven test. Fourth phase command is Maven package, and so on, right? So let's say I want to run, let's say Maven package, right? So let's say I want to run this fourth command, let's say Maven package. Then all the packages before this will also be executed. So it will be in sequence. So first phase will be happen, second phase, third phase, then your fourth phase will happen, right? So let's say you want to run Maven install, right? So all the first 5 phases will be executed. After that, phase 6 will be executed. So that will be in the sequence, right? And each phase will have a specific goal, right? So let's say there is this phase 2, right? In each phase, we will have, let's say, multiple goals, goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, right? So each of these phase have multiple goals. What is goal? Goal is basically a task, right? So each phase will perform certain amount of task, right? That we call as goal, right? So let's say in phase 3, there are 5 tasks, right? And these are the tasks it is performing, right? Now let's say the scenario, I want to tell this particular phase that I want you to perform one more task. How I can tell this phase that perform one more task, additional task for me? So we can tell any phase to perform any additional task by using plugin inside build, right? So that is when this build comes into picture, right? So any additional task you want any phase to perform, you can add that particular configuration inside your build as a plugin, and that will execute the respective task for you. Now let's do one thing. Let's go through each of the phases, right? So for example, let's say phase 1 we have validate, right? So it will just validate your project, right? That also needs some kind of configuration, but that's not there, so it's not going to validate anything, right? we need to add one plugin to validate it. Let's try to hit it anyway, right? So what I will do maven validate, right? So what it will do, it will do nothing. Basically it will just try to perform this particular task, but we don't have that plugin, so it won't do anything basically, right? So you will get build success, right? So that's maven validate for us. That will need a plugin. If you add a plugin, it will do that particular validation, right? Now next one is, let's say, maven compile, right? So what we can do over here, we can have maven compile, right? So before hitting execute on this command, I want to highlight one thing here. If you see this package structure, just remember that there is no target folder over here, right? Now the command is going through, it will take some time to compile it. So as you can see over here, our maven compile command is completed, right? So here it is saying nothing to compile, all classes are up to date, but let's do one thing. What I will do over here, I will try to print something over here, right? Now let's compile it again. So what I will do, run the command again. So as you can see over here, it is showing compiling one source file with javac, right? So as we have discussed, we just tell it what to do and how to do, it will take care on its own. So did we tell this maven that, okay dude, compile with javac command? No, we just asked it to compile, right? Maven compile. It decided on its own that I need to use javac command to compile it, right? So that is basically the beauty of it, that it will take care of things on its own, right? So that is basically maven compile for us, right? And after that, if you see over here, a target file will be generated. So after compiling, it will put all the class files over here. That is about maven compile. So let's see next, right? So next phase we have maven test, right? So test phase. So what will happen in this phase? It will just test the code. Now before that, let's go ahead and see what tests we have. So we have one test over here, context loads. So before running that, let's add one logger over here. Let's say this is basically the terminal, IntelliJ terminal, where we are executing these commands. So there is one more way that I want to show you. So here, if you see at the right side, we have this maven, right? So this is basically the IntelliJ. So you can hit these commands by using UI as well. So when you click on this maven, right, something like this will be opened, right? So, and if you see first tab, you will have lifecycle, right? The one which we are seeing over here. So if I open this, you will have all the phases of your lifecycle, right? So which phase you want to execute now? So we were looking into test phase, right? What we will do, just double click on that. Let's see what happens. So it's basically running, right? So here, let's go to start and let's start checking it, right? So first it will scan for the project. Then what it will do, it will compile as well. So here basically it is compiling. Even if I hit this test, it is doing compile as well. So all the steps it will execute beforehand. After that it will start this, right? Up to this it will compile, and here it will start tests. Okay, so basically test compile, it started over here. So it's basically downloading the things required in order to run the test from your repository, central repository, basically maven repository. After that, from here it is starting your tests, right? So maven demo application test, so it is building the application context. So here if you see, the logger that we have added inside our test is printed over here, right? So basically our test ran successfully, and it is showing how many tests ran, how many failures, how many errors, right? So the count and everything also we will see over here, right? So this is basically maven test. So 3 phases we have already seen. So let's mark these 3 to done, right? So next phase over here that we have is package, right? So what package phase will do, it will package your code which is just compiled right here in phase 2 to jar or war file, right? Now let's see how. So if I go back over here in maven, right, let me bring this down, and if you see over here, let's run package, right? So again, when we are running package, all these 3 phases will run before package as well, right? So first here, if you see, let me go back here. Here if you see, it is compiling, right? After that it is testing, compile test. After that, what we have after test, we have package, right? So it is doing packaging, so it is creating the jar. Okay, so building jar, it is saying, right? And it is building jar on this path in target folder. So if I open target folder now, see, this is the particular jar that is created for us, right? This is basically the jar file that it created. So that is basically the packaging. It will just create the jar file which will bundle everything inside one jar, that all the things which are needed for your application, will be bundled inside this jar file and it's kind of ready to deploy, right? So Maven package we have seen. After that we have verify package, right? So verify package. So basically Maven will not force you to use verify package. That's why if you directly run it, nothing will happen, right? But if you want to do explicit verification, for example, let's say your static code analysis, or let's say PMD validation, there is something called as PMD validation where you can check, unused variables inside your project or unused imports inside your project. So that particular verification you can do in this particular step, right? So in order to do that, what you need to do is we need to add a new plugin, let's say. So what you can do here, you can go to your pom file, pom.xml. What you can do, so here this plugin is ending, so here you can add new plugin, something like this. So let's say this is Maven PMD plugin which will do verification, right? This is the version of that. After that we will have in which phase we want to run this. We want to run this in verify phase of lifecycle, right? After that what we have, what is this goal? This is the goal for checking basically. And after that, this is but basically the configuration or rule set that is required by this PMD validation, that what all configurations I want to check and everything like that. So this is how you can achieve it, right? But Maven will not force you to do it. So let's remove it now and let's move to next phase, right? So if I go ahead and add this verify here, nothing specific should happen. Rather it should run all the phases before this verify phase along with this verify, but verify will not do anything explicitly because we are not giving anything. So basically packaging only is happening over here, right? After that what we have install packages, right? So install packages into local repo, right? So in this phase what will happen is whatever jars are created over here, that will be transferred to your M2 folder. So let's do one thing, let's run this install and let's see what happens. So here if you see from the beginning, again same thing will happen. It will first compile, then it will just test. Next phase will be your package phase, repackaging, and after the install is running. What it is saying, installing this jar that it has created to this M2 repository, right over here. So it will create a path inside M2 repository, something like this, repository com, the name of your company, the name of your project, the version of your project, and inside that it will just add a jar, right? After that, the last phase that we have is deploy package, right? Deploy package will basically deploy your application inside some remote repository, right? Either it will be the repository of your company or rather you can use the Maven repository as well to deploy, right? So in order to do this, you need to add a distributed management, right? So what you can do over here, you can go inside your project and you can add something like this. So this is basically the distribution management on which remote repository you want to deploy this application. You can specify it over here. And after adding this distribution management, if you click on deploy, then it will just connect to that particular repository and it will deploy it over there, right? So this is basically the example, right? Here we are adding URL only, but there will be password and everything as well because everything is not public, right? So that password configuration and everything you can add in settings.xml file that will be present at same M2 repository over here that we have seen over here, right? Same M2 repository it will be present. So there you need to add this configuration. So this is how you can deploy it on remote repository basically. So let's not do it now as we don't have any remote repository with us. So now if I run this deploy, it will first run all these phases, right? First 6 phases it will run and after it will start to deploy. But as we don't have that distribution configuration, it will fail saying that repository element is not specified inside distribution management, right? As we have not specified it yet, right? That is basically the last step inside your Maven lifecycle, right? So that is the potential lifecycle for us. So we have covered these 3 steps as well, and here we have covered this POM file understanding and lifecycle as well, right? So all these points are covered, right? So that marks the end of it. I hope by now you have a fair understanding of how Maven is doing its job, how exactly it is building, what is the life cycle. So next time you do Maven clean or Maven clean install, then you will know what exactly is happening in at backend and what all steps it is running. So thank you for watching this video. If you like the video, hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the red button below and subscribe to my channel. And share this video with your friends so that they also understand Maven and Maven lifecycle. That's it for this video. See you in the next video.